like I said, I'm going to do some homework problems with you guys. Again, hopefully you guys have done some of this, or if you're stuck, don't stress. Um, I'm not going to lie to you guys. You guys are all probably going to get an A in my class. Um, you can say thank you, COVID. Thank you, me feeling bad for you seniors, whatever. But yeah, still, don't give up. Keep trying. If you're going to go to calculus after this, it'll help to learn this stuff. But, all right, anyways, this is problem number 1 from the homework. So it's asking us to convert cosine x into tangent x. So if you remember that tip I gave you in that first video, if you see no squares, you just see cosines, especially tangents, secants, cosecants, anything like that. The clue is you're probably going to have to use some of those fractions, okay? And I know that tangent is the same thing as sine of x over cosine of x, so I'm going to do that. We'll write this cosine x out first, and I'm going to turn tangent into sine of x over cosine of x. And now guess what? Boom, boom. We're done. That's all there is. I just did problem number 1. Like literally, that's all I had to do. Okay? Let's go to a little more difficult looking one. Let's skip down to problem number 4. So problem number 4 has got a lot more words in it, more terms, and it wants us to convert cosecant of b, tangent of b, and cosine b. We want to convert this to 1. Well, like I said, I have a bunch of stuff. I'm going to start turning them into fractions. Okay, so cosecant is the inverse of sine, because remember, cosecant should go with cosine, but it doesn't. It's stupid, and it's instead sine. So I'm going to rewrite cosecant as 1 over sine of x. Tangent, as we just did, is sine over cosine. Sine of x over cosine of x. And then cosine is still just cosine. Oh, I keep swapping x's and b's, whatever. You guys know what I'm doing. We'll put it over 1, just so we have a bunch of fractions. And now, hopefully you all see the answer. Because look, that cancels out with that. And the cosines cancel out too. And we're left with 1 over 1. Done. Okay? Like I said, this section is one of those sections that's very confusing when you're first looking at it, because it's like, I have no idea what to do. But once you start working on it, it's really not that terrible. It's all just stuff like this. You're just turning stuff into fractions, canceling things out. Okay, let's skip down to one of the more difficult ones. Let's go to number 6. Oh, I want to skip farther than 6. That's just the first. Ooh, let's go to 12. 12 looks pretty gross. Okay, so this is number 12. 12 is cosine of x times secant x plus cosine x cosecant. Is that cosecant? Yeah, cosecant squared of x. Looks hideous. And we want to turn that into cosecant squared of x. Okay. So I've got squareds, which makes me think that I'm going to have Pythagorean theorem, or Pythagorean property, which is sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. But I also have lots of secants and cosecants, so I'm going to mess with the fractions first. I could be wrong, okay? So I'm going to go the fraction route, but before I do that, I'm just going to write these definitions over here on the side, okay? So secant is the same thing. Secant of x is equal to 1 over cosine of x. And cosecant is equal to, cosecant of x is equal to 1 over sine of x. I'm just going to keep those kind of in my back pocket. All right, so first thing I want to do is I'm going to distribute this. So I'm going to distribute this here, right? So this is going to be cosine times secant, but we just did this over here. Secant is 1 over cosine. So this is going to become 1, right? Because we have cosine of x times 1 over cosine. So those cosines cancel out. We're left with 1. Okay. So now we're going to end up over here. We're going to have this cosine over here. So this is all one term. So I'm going to end up with cosine squared, right? Cosine squared of x times cosecant squared of x. I'm thinking. What could we do? So okay, so I've got 1 plus cosine squared, cosecant squared. We know cosecant squared is going to be 1 over sine squared. Okay, so let's go with this. All right, so I'm just going to, like I said, sometimes you don't really know what you're going to do. Okay, so I'm going to say 1 plus cosine squared of x times, I'm going to flip this to this. Okay, so I'm going to say 1 over sine squared of x. All right, so that gives me 1 plus cosine squared of x over sine squared of x. Cosine over sine. Sine over cosine is tangent, I believe, right? Tangent is sine over cosine, which means cosine over sine is cotangent. All right, I think maybe we're onto something. So we got 1 plus cotangent squared of x. All right, I have no idea, but I'm going to get my book out and I'm going to look. Let's see if we got something. Let's see if there's some property with cotangent that I'm just not remembering because it's been so long since I've done these. So we got to go back to 7.2. Here's cotangent. Oh, snap. Look at that. Cotangent squared of x plus 1 is equal to cosecant squared. So what do we just have? We've got cotangent squared of 1 plus cotangent squared of x plus 1 equals cosecant squared. So we now just solved that. And so we got this can turn into cosecant squared of x, which, boom, that's what we were trying to get. Okay, and we're done. That was gross. I'm not going to lie. I was not sure what I was doing there for a minute, but we got through it. And that's kind of, like I said, that's kind of how these go. All right, I am going to skip now. Let's skip all the way to the next page. Let's do number 32. All right, so number 32, and this will be the last one I do on this video. So 32 is going to be cosine squared. That's cosine squared of theta plus tangent squared theta cosine squared theta. So cosine squared theta plus tangent squared theta cosine squared theta equals 1. Okay. Well, this is boring. I thought it looked really gross, but I think I already know how to do it. Oh well, maybe I'll do another one. I don't know. We're already at 10 minutes. I think this is about the attention span. This is the attention span I'd have if I was watching this video. Though, I am pretty darn entertaining. Okay, so this cosine squared, so I've got all these squareds, and I've got 1, which makes me think I'm going to be using that Pythagorean property, the sine squared, cosine squared. But I do have tangent, and I know tangent is equal to sine over cosine. So let's turn this into sine squared of theta over cosine squared of theta. Okay, so we have this plus cosine squared theta on that side, And over here we still have this cosine squared theta. And would you look at that? We got a cosine squared and a cosine squared. You know what those do, right? They make everything better. They say bye-bye, bye-bye. And we're left with cosine squared theta plus sine squared theta equals 1, which we know is true. That is that Pythagorean property. And I'm done. So let's see. I did 4 problems. Yeah, I did 4 problems from your homework. Keep trying at it. I will be doing tutoring sessions, and like I said, take your time. We'll get it done. Just I need you guys to turn stuff in for me, but don't stress. All right. Have a good night, guys. I'll get this posted and uploaded as soon as possible.